Spider-Man 3 is a 2007 American superhero film based on the fictional Marvel comic character Spider-Man. What's good is a bolded reviews, and today we're going to review Spider-Man 3, directed by Sam Raimi, from a screenplay by Sam Raimi, his older brother Ivan Raimi, and Alvin Sargent. It's the third and final installment in Sam Raimi's original Spider-Man trilogy, and the film once again stars Tobey Maguire as Peter Parker alongside Kirsten Dunst, James Franco, Thompson Hayden Church, Topher Grace, Bryce Dallas Howard, James McConroe, Rosemary Harris, and J.K. Simmons, following the events of Spider-Man 2 as Peter Parker prepares his future with Mary Jane Watson, his bonds with an extraterrestrial symbiote, bringing out his anger while facing Harry Osborn, seeking his revenge to revenge his father, and an escaping thug who killed Peter's uncle and becomes Sandman after a freak accident. Now, this film was developed after immediately the release of Spider-Man 2, and during the pre-production, Sam Raimi originally wanted another villain to be along with Sandman, at the request of producer Avery Averitt. He added Venom, and the producers also requested the addition of Gwen Stacy. Principal photography for the film began on January 2006, and the film ended up being released on May 4th, 2007, and April 16th, 2007 in Tokyo. And the film grossed $890 million worldwide, making it the most successful film of the trilogy. It is the third high grossing film of 2007 and the highest grossing Spider-Man film ever made. Unlike the previous incarnations, Spider-Man 3 receives a mixed reception from critics, with some praising the performances, visual effects, and action sequences, while others derided the film's overloaded storylines and subplots, along with the unrefined pacing and the use of multiple villains. A majority of these issues were later attributed to studios' interferences and creative differences between Sam Raimi and Avery Averitt. And the full film Spider-Man 4 was meant to be released on May 6, 2011, followed by a Venom spin-off, but were cancelled due to Sam Raimi's withdrawal over creative differences with the writers and producers. The film series was then rebooted, first with The Amazing Spider-Man by Mark Webb, and later with the MCU directed by John Watts, with the beginning of Spider-Man Homecoming. So this film kind of went through a heck, even though it was successful at the box office. But what really is bad about this film, and why do people keep banging on about how awful it is? But before we talk about how bad it is, let's talk about how good it is. And the good is definitely these performances that these guys have given us from the very beginning. Tobey Maguire, Kirsten Dunst, James Franco, Rosemary Harris, J.K. Simmons, like these guys from like the first Spider-Man movies have all just returned, brought back these great, performances. They're all just doing so damn well. I do love Peter Parker as Spider-Man. I do love it. I love Kirsten Dunst as Mary Jane Watson. She gets a bit of a, she's put through the ringer a little bit because, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen the film, go and watch it right now. But we're gonna go into some spoilers to really delve in deep. So watch it now and come back. But Kirsten Dunst as Mary Jane has, obviously she knows who Peter Parker is. She knows he's Spider-Man in a way. And the thing I like about the last film is that normally these Spider-Man movies end with Spider-Man Peter Parker, like swinging on his web. But the end of the last film did that, but it kind of panned up on Mary Jane's face, because you knew that, whatever Spider-Man's doing, his main focus has always been Mary Jane at heart, protecting her. And in this film, obviously, she is kind of like the main thing that's driving Peter to do these like crazy things, Obviously, like, now that he's Spider-Man, she knows who he is, Obviously, he's getting all the attention and she's not. Like, her life on Broadway is going downhill. She's been fired from many productions and she has to once again be a waitress, and it sucks for her. But Peter Parker is just so arrogant in this film that he doesn't even realize how, arrogant he is. But I like that, because it feels like this is the right direction this film should have gone, and it did. Peter Parker's arrogance of being so popular. Well, Peter Parker himself isn't popular. It's Spider-Man, People loving Spider-Man, people praising him. And when he puts on that suit, he becomes all cocky and a bit arrogant, And he ends up doing things that he doesn't really think twice, like kissing Gwen Stacy the same way he kissed Mary Jane in the first film. That was a stab in the heart. And I thought, what a prick move to do, my dude. That was really the douchey thing to do. And I was not happy about that, and neither was Mary Jane, you know. It was a bit of a douchey move, to be honest with you. And James Franco as Harry Osborn is obviously revenge driven onto killing Peter Parker, you know, and and I love the sequence when in like the first act of the film when Peter and Harry Osborn are fighting, you know, and Peter's in his suit, and I don't know, seeing Spider-Man flying around in a suit looked pretty badass. I don't know, there was something so badass seeing him swinging from the buildings in that suit. He just looked like a man. It just felt like it's just like he's no longer a kid anymore. He's now a man, and he now knows his powers, and he's really confident about it, and he can just fly around in a suit and like it's nothing. I thought that was pretty badass, you know. And he had this intense fight which leaves Harry Osborn to lose his memories and of like everything that happened from like up to the first Spider-Man. All he knows is that his father died, and he doesn't really know anything else about Peter Parker being Spider-Man, or that, you know, Spider-Man was involved in in Norman Osborn's death in a way, so he lost all his memories of that. So he's kind of the whole old Harry, you know, best friend to Peter Parker in a way, and friend to Mary Jane. And Peter Parker isn't really there for Mary Jane. He's too busy being Spider-Man and being showing off and all that, and the Daily Bugle and all that. And Mary Jane just feels so lonely. She needs someone to be with him, and obviously Harry Osborn's there, and they seem to like rekindle their old flame in a way, and they have this really kind of cringy but really adorable scene when they're trying to cook food, and then you have that little moment. It was a little cringy, but it was really funny and sweet, to be honest with you. I like that scene, to be honest with you. Also, Bryce Dallas Howard as Gwen Stacy isn't that bad, I have to admit. She's okay, she's passable, but she isn't the Gwen Stacy. She isn't really the Gwen Stacy. I still think the reboot Gwen Stacy is better, to be honest with you. I still think so. The Sandman Thomas Hayden Church as Flint Marko. He's a small-time thug with an estranged wife and a sick daughter who struggles to rob money to get his daughter treatment, and it lures him into a freak accident and turns him into the Sand Monster. I love the whole sequence of when he becomes a Sand Monster. The music, the violins, it's just kind of like correlating really well with what's shown in the picture in the movie, and I thought that was really great, you know. There's no dialogue as well. He picks up the locket with his daughter and he grips it, and because he's not able to like grip anything because he's sad, when he sees that locket with his daughter on, he grips it and he becomes solid, and that is what makes him feel solid throughout, is his image of his daughter, and it's so great, you know. It's really powerful, you know. I do love this character because he isn't a bad man, he's just had bad luck, as he said, and I feel bad for him, you know. He isn't a bad, he just wants to get money for his daughter, you know. That's all he wants to do, you know. And obviously, as I talked about spoilers, there is going to be massive spoilers. This guy is the reason why Uncle Ben died. He was the true guy who shot him, and I quite like that it was him, you know, and it kind of like expanded the whole Uncle Ben scenario in a way. And this is what kind of propelled Peter into this like anger, and the symbiote that has been merged with him kind of resonated with his anger, and he became quite violent and kind of scary, to be honest with you. But yeah, the music is also really great, as I said. But let's get to my mixed aspect of the film. And the mixed aspect is definitely, I would probably say, Gwen Stacy's performance. It's not that great, you know, and I still prefer the reboot version of her. Eddie Brock as Venom isn't also that great of a character. I feel like Topher Grace performs him pretty well, but I kind of feel like they just forced this character in the film, you know. I kind of wish it was, I don't know, I still wish that, I have theories of this film, like how they should have made it better. I feel like the symbiote should have been given to Harry Osborn. Harry Osborn should never have erased his memories. He should never have forgotten who he was. The symbiote should have gone to Harry Osborn. His vengefulness towards Peter should have kind of escalated with the symbiote, and he should have become one with it, and he would have just gone psycho, you know. I feel like that would have been better, you know, and it would have definitely brought the whole trilogy to like this point of like thing, and it's just, that would have been so much better, to be honest with you. Get rid of I mean, maybe still have the Sandman there as like your side villain, but get rid of Eddie Brock entirely because I feel like he was just forced into the script, to be honest with you, by Sony. They just wanted it, but they should have made the Venom Harry Osborn. I don't know, that would have been more better, you know. Or just get rid of the Sandman and just establish Eddie Brock. But Eddie Brock as a character is kind of a dull character. He's not really that great. I still prefer Flip Marko as the villain, even though he's not really a villain. He's more like the anti-villain in a way. He doesn't mean to be bad in a way. And now we come to my negatives with this film, and my negatives is definitely, I would probably say, the emo Peter. Like, emo Peter is definitely the worst thing of this film, and it's the thing that really suffers from this film. You see, the symbiote kind of possesses Peter, and he turns into this kind of like douchebag of a dude, you know, who's like more of like an emo guy who doesn't really give a crap about anything or anyone, and he just has this kind of bad personality, and he's like a bad boy now because of the symbiote. I don't know why the symbiote made him change his personality like that. I don't really understand that. It's a bit weird, and he just becomes kind of this kind of prat, to be honest with you. He's a prat to everyone around him, especially Mary Jane, you know. He doesn't deserve any of it. There's this whole sequence where he's trying to dance in this nightclub, and it's so corny, and it's just making me cringe. And then he's just being a douchebag to Mary Jane, you know, showing off with his new gal, and he's just making her feel so much bad about herself, and it's so bad, you know, to the point where he gets really violent with some of the girls, and he ends up hitting Mary Jane, and that's when he realizes that he did a bad thing. And it's just, that's a really douchebag thing to do, Peter. And I didn't like that whole little side plot with emo Peter. I feel like the movie would have been stronger if it was just Peter just being normally angry, you know. Like, I don't know, it's just, I really didn't like that, to be honest with you. But apart from that, I didn't really have any problems with the film, you know. But like the villains, like I would say Venom is, and maybe the addition of Sandman was just a little bit too much for us as a viewer, you know. We need to have one villain we can battle against, and I think that villain should have been Harry Osborn, of all people, to be honest with you. I think he should have been the ultimate villain he should have faced, you know. Instead of having Sandman and the Venom, you know, they should have just faced him, and that's it. But I have to admit, I did like the final sequence when Peter and Harry Osborn is kind of like, you know, facing off against, you know, the villains. I thought it was pretty badass and sick. But here we come to my major aspect of the film, and it is definitely the moment which killed the movie for me. It literally killed it for me, and it's the moment. It is this particular moment where I feel like this movie is stupid. Basically, his butler basically comes up to him after Harry's been disfigured, been attacked by Spider-Man and all that, because obviously they had a little fight again, and obviously this butler just kind of walks into the room. He's like, Harry, I have seen things that have shocked me to a point where I could never imagine. I took your father, I cleaned his wounds, and the glider stabbed him, Harry. So your father died from his own glider. I lost it at the scene. I wanted to throw something at the TV screen, but I didn't want to because I paid a lot of money for it. But the point is that I've never felt this much anger towards a scene in a movie. Why didn't the butler tell Harry after his father had died in the first film? Do you know, even just that addition, you know, it just completely killed it, because the fact that they added that in means that this butler has known from the first movie about everything, and he never told Harry about it. And the fact that Harry has been hating Peter, and the fact that Harry is dead, is because his butler never told a single word to Harry. If he had just told Harry, I know you're sad about your father, we just come from the funeral, but we need to know something. Your father died from his own glider, you know, Harry. He would never have hated Peter. They would have been best friends, and Harry would have been alive, you know. He would have been he would have been alive. And it's all his butler's fault. Heck, don't even add that scene in. Just make Harry still believe that Pete, you know, have that, and then have Harry, you know, later on understand that, you know. I just felt that was just a bad move by Sony. It was the worst part of the film, and it killed it for me. It killed the whole consistency of the film. It ruined the consistency these Spider-Man movies had, you know, and it completely retconned the movies previous to this film, to be honest with you. But obviously the film ended pretty nicely, you know. It was quite sad to see Harry Osborn die, you know, him sacrificing himself to save his best friend Peter, you know. And I love the little moment with Sandman and Peter, you know. I really did like that scene, you know, when Sandman's telling him the truth about what happened to Uncle Ben. It really nearly brought it to my eye. It was so damn emotional, you know. And yeah, but the film felt very anticlimactic in a way. It felt like, even though it ended, there should have been another movie to like kind of wrap things up. But at the same time, I feel like this movie felt right in a way to just end it like that, you know. I thought for their little story, this was it, you know, in a way, and I liked it, you know. I thought, yeah, Raimi's trilogy ended like this, and it kind of felt anticlimactic in a way, but at the same time, it kind of felt complete at the same time. And this film had so many problems that completely racked my brain, but it had a lot of good moments as well, you know. Had a lot of really nice moments, you know. Aunt May, Rosemary Harris, has some of the very most touching emotional lines as well in the film, and yeah, I just wanted to give her a shout out as well. And yeah, with that said, I'm gonna have to give Spider-Man 3. You know what? In terms of my enjoyment of this film, and despite me hating it at times, I'm gonna give it a B minus. I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10. It's just still enjoyable, dude. I still love it. I still love the film, my dude. It's still a great film. It's still a blast to watch. Go check this film out. But I've already spoiled it for you. But you can still watch it. But thank you for watching. Please like and share this video and comment down below and tell me what's your favorite Spider-Man flick. With that said, thanks for watching. As always, a Boy Reviews signing out.